The scene, Nakatomi Plaza, 30th floor. John McClane rounds a corner and freezes. There, among the marble and glass, stands a humming blue police box. The door creaks open and out steps a man in a leather jacket, followed by a blonde woman.
"Well,"
says the man, his northern accent cutting through the silence.
"This isn't Barcelona."
An explosion rocks the building. The man pulls out a strange device, its blue light scanning the air. His face grows serious.
"Rose,"
he says,
"we've got bigger problems than terrorists. Someone's trying to create a temporal rift."
McClane, gun raised, demands answers. The man grins.
"I'm the doctor, and you, John McClane, are about to help us save a lot more than this building."
Die Hard meets Doctor Who in a race against time itself. Thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe for more content. Get ready for a fun action story where two universes cross over for an interesting adventure. A stranger in a strange box. John McClane's instincts were on high alert as he crept through the 30th floor of Nakatomi Plaza. The sound of gunfire and explosions had faded, replaced by an eerie silence that set his teeth on edge. But nothing could have prepared him for what he stumbled upon next. There, nestled between cubicles and filing cabinets, stood a blue police box that seemed wildly out of place. McClane's grip tightened on his Beretta as he approached, his mind racing. He circled the box cautiously, running his hand over the rough wooden exterior. The surface felt oddly warm, and he could swear he heard a faint humming coming from inside.
"What the hell?"
he muttered, his eyes darting to the reflections in the nearby office windows. The box seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it wasn't quite solid. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and McClane jumped back, his gun raised.
"New York Police Department, don't move!"
he barked, heart pounding. Two figures emerged from the impossible interior. A man in a leather jacket, with close-cropped hair and piercing eyes, followed by a young blonde woman. The man held up his hands, a small metallic device clutched in one of them.
"Easy there, big fella,"
the man said with a northern English accent.
"We come in peace."
McClane's eyes darted between the two strangers and the box behind them.
"Who are you? How did you get in here?"
The man grinned, seemingly unfazed by the gun pointed at his chest.
"I'm the doctor, and this is Rose. As for how we got here, well, that's a bit complicated."
"Try me,"
McClane growled, his patience wearing thin. The doctor raised an eyebrow and pointed the device in his hand at a nearby computer. It emitted a high-pitched whirring sound, and the screen flickered to life, displaying a complex stream of data.
"It's called a sonic screwdriver,"
the doctor explained casually.
"Quite handy in a pinch."
Rose stepped forward, her hands raised in a placating gesture.
"Look, I know this is all a bit mad, but we're here to help. There's something going on in this building, something big."
McClane's eyes narrowed.
"You don't say. I thought the heavily armed terrorists were just here for the Christmas party."
Rose chuckled, despite the tension.
Fair point. But trust me, there's more to this than meets the eye. We picked up strange readings, temporal distortions that shouldn't be possible in this time.
"Temporal what?"
McClane's head was spinning. He lowered his gun slightly, but kept it at the ready. The doctor stepped closer, his expression turning serious.
"Time, John. We're talking about time itself being manipulated. These terrorists, they're not working alone. They've got technology from the future, and if we don't stop them, the consequences could be catastrophic."
Before McClane could respond, a massive explosion rocked the building, nearly knocking them all off their feet. As the dust settled, McClane locked eyes with the doctor. In that moment, he saw something in the man's gaze, a determination, a weight of responsibility that felt eerily familiar.
"All right, Doc,"
McClane said gruffly.
"I don't understand half of what you're saying, but I know trouble when I see it. You want to help? Fine. But you follow my lead? Got it?"
The doctor nodded, a hint of a smile playing at his lips.
"Wouldn't dream of giving orders to New York's finest."
Rose beamed, relief evident on her face.
Brilliant. Now where do we start?
McClane jerked his thumb towards the stairwell.
We need to get to the vault on the 30th floor. That's where Gruber and his men are headed.
As they moved towards the door, the doctor's expression darkened.
Be prepared for anything, John. If I'm right about the technology they're using, we might be facing threats you've never imagined.
McClane snorted.
Story of my life, Doc. Just another day at Nakatomi Plaza.
Timey-wimey terrorists. Hans Gruber's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the chaos unfolding before him. His meticulously crafted plan was unraveling faster than he could comprehend. What had started as the perfect heist was quickly devolving into a nightmare of inexplicable glitches and bizarre occurrences.
Theo!
Gruber barked into his radio, his voice tight with barely contained frustration.
Status report on the vault now.
The response crackled through, laced with static and an undercurrent of panic.
Boss, you're not gonna believe this. The equipment's going haywire. I'm getting readings that don't make any sense. It's like the vault's there 1 second and gone the next.
Gruber's jaw clenched. This was impossible. He'd planned for every contingency, accounted for every variable, but nothing in his extensive preparations had readied him for this. As he strode through the corridors of Nakatomi Plaza, Gruber's keen eyes caught sight of something that made his blood run cold. One of his men was fumbling with a sleek silver device that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie rather than a 1980s office building. The terrorist pointed it at a locked door, and with a shimmer of energy, the door simply vanished.
What in the hell is that?
Gruber demanded, snatching the device from his startled subordinate. The terrorist stammered, unable to provide an explanation. Gruber turned the object over in his hands, his mind racing. This technology was advanced, far beyond anything he'd ever encountered. But where had it come from? And more importantly, how could he use it to salvage his operation? Meanwhile, several floors below, the doctor's face was a mask of concentration as he waved his sonic screwdriver in intricate patterns. Rose watched him with growing concern, while John McClane stood guard, his eyes constantly scanning for threats.
Doctor,
Rose whispered.
what's happening? Those readings you're getting, they're not normal, are they?
The Time Lord shook his head grimly.
No, Rose, they're not normal at all. The temporal disturbances are spreading throughout the building. It's as if someone's punched holes in the fabric of time itself.
McClane snorted.
Great. First terrorists, now time holes.
The doctor shot him a look that was equal parts exasperation and admiration.
Your ability to remain sardonic in the face of a potential collapse of the space-time continuum is truly remarkable, Detective.
Before McClane could retort, Rose gasped, pointing down the hallway.
Look, that man, the gun he's holding, it's not like the others.
The trio peered around the corner, watching as a terrorist confidently strode past, wielding what appeared to be a futuristic energy weapon. Its sleek design and softly pulsing lights were a stark contrast to the conventional firearms carried by the other members of Gruber's team. McClane's eyes narrowed.
That sure as hell ain't standard issue for these guys. Doc, any ideas?
The doctor's expression darkened.
Oh, I have several. None of them good. That weapon shouldn't exist for at least another century. Someone's been meddling with time on a massive scale.
As they watched the terrorist disappear around a corner, McClane's street smarts kicked into high gear. He motioned for the others to follow him, leading them through a series of service corridors and ventilation shafts. His intimate knowledge of the building's layout proved invaluable as they navigated the maze-like structure, avoiding detection by Gruber's men.
Hold up,
McClane whispered, raising a hand. They froze, listening intently. The faint sound of voices drifted through the air vent beside them. Gruber's voice, tense and angry, could be clearly heard.
I don't care how you do it. Just get that vault open. We're running out of time, and these anomalies are threatening everything we've worked for.
The doctor's eyes widened.
Of course.
He breathed.
It all makes sense now. Gruber and his men, they're not the real threat here. They're pawns in a much larger game.
Rose furrowed her brow.
What do you mean, Doctor?
Think about it.
The Time Lord explained, his voice hushed but intense.
The advanced technology, the temporal disturbances, the way Gruber's plan is falling apart. Someone from the future is using this heist as cover for something far more sinister.
McClane nodded grimly.
So we've got future tech, time holes, and a mastermind pulling the strings. Any idea who we're really up against, Doc?
The doctor's expression was grim.
Not yet. But whoever they are, they're willing to risk the entire timeline to achieve their goals. We need to find them, and fast.
As if on cue, a low rumble shook the building, causing dust to rain down from the ceiling. The temporal disturbances were growing stronger, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of reality around them. Clash of Heroes. The temporal disturbances rippled through Nakatomi Plaza, creating an eerie atmosphere of uncertainty. The doctor's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the situation, his mind racing with possibilities. McClane, on the other hand, gripped his weapon tightly, ready for action. The clash between their approaches was inevitable.
We need to disable their equipment without harming anyone.
The doctor proposed, his voice low and urgent.
If we can disrupt their temporal technology, we might be able to prevent further damage to the timeline.
McClane scoffed, his patience wearing thin.
Listen, Doc, these guys aren't playing around. They've got hostages and they're not afraid to use them. We need to take them out, fast and hard.
The tension between them was palpable. Two vastly different problem-solving styles colliding in the face of an unprecedented threat. The doctor's pacifist tendencies, born from the trauma of the Time War, stood in stark contrast to McClane's more direct, action-oriented approach. Rose stepped between them, her voice calm but firm.
We don't have time for this. Every second we argue, the timeline gets more unstable.
Her words caused both men to pause and consider. The doctor's expression softened slightly, while McClane's stance relaxed a fraction.
What if we combine your strengths?
Rose suggested.
The doctor's clever plans with John's ability to act under pressure. We might just have a chance at stopping both the terrorists and whatever's causing these time disturbances.
Footsteps echoed down the corridor. A patrol approached. Survival instincts kicked in. The doctor whispered urgently.
John, I need a distraction. Loud, attention-grabbing, not lethal.
McClane nodded, grabbing a fire extinguisher. The doctor activated his sonic screwdriver. Lights flickered wildly. Confusion. McClane unleashed foam. Vision obscured. Swift movements. Guards disarmed. As the dust settled, the group's dynamics began to shift. The doctor's clever planning and McClane's combat prowess had proven formidable together. A newfound respect formed between the unlikely allies.
Not bad, Doc.
McClane admitted, a hint of a smile on his face. The doctor nodded appreciatively.
And your takedown was surprisingly non-lethal. Well done.
Their moment of camaraderie was short-lived as they encountered a heavily fortified security door. The doctor examined the control panel, his sonic screwdriver humming.
This is more advanced than it should be for this time period. I can disable the locking mechanism, but we'll need to manually force it open.
McClane stepped forward, cracking his knuckles.
That's where I come in, right?
The doctor nodded, a plan forming.
Rose, keep watch. John, when I give the signal, pry that panel off and pull the emergency release lever, but be careful. It might be booby-trapped.
The doctor worked on disabling the security systems. McClane prepared himself.
Now!
The doctor yelled. McClane sprang into action, wrenching the panel free.
Wait!
The doctor called out, just as McClane's hand hovered over the lever.
There's a failsafe. If we pull that now, it'll trigger an alarm.
McClane froze, his instincts warring with the need to trust his new ally.
So what's the play, Doc?
The doctor's fingers flew over the exposed circuitry, his sonic screwdriver buzzing frantically.
Just one more second.
With a final burst from the sonic, a series of lights on the panel blinked out.
Now, John, pull it!
Without hesitation, McClane yanked the lever. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a groan of protesting metal, the fortified door slowly slid open. The unlikely team shared a look of triumph. They had overcome a major obstacle by combining the doctor's technical expertise with McClane's willingness to take physical risks. It was a perfect blend of their unique approaches to problem solving. The future unraveled. As the fortified door slid open, the doctor's eyes widened in disbelief. The command center before them was a jarring blend of 1980s technology and futuristic gadgetry that had no business existing in this time. McClane let out a low whistle, his hardened exterior cracking at the sight.
Doc, I've seen some crazy stuff, but this ain't from around here, is it?
The doctor's face paled as he recognized components scattered across the room.
No, John. This technology shouldn't exist for at least another century.
He moved swiftly, examining a sleek console that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Rose followed close behind, her eyes darting from one strange device to another. McClane, ever the pragmatist, began searching for concrete evidence. He rifled through papers on a nearby desk, his brow furrowing as he pieced together fragments of information.
Hey, Doc.
He called out, holding up a document.
This mentions something about a temporal shift happening tonight. That mean anything to you?
The doctor's head snapped up, his expression grave.
It means we're dealing with something far more dangerous than a simple heist.
He gestured for Rose to join them.
Look at this. These components, they're from different points in time. Some from the near future, others from centuries ahead.
Rose's eyes widened as she took in the implications.
But how is that possible? And why bring all this to Nakatomi Plaza in 1988?
The doctor's mind raced, connecting the dots.
Someone's trying to create a temporal nexus point, a place where different timelines converge.
He ran a hand through his close-cropped hair, frustration evident in his voice.
But it's unstable. That's what's causing the disturbances we've been experiencing.
McClane frowned, trying to wrap his head around the concept.
So what? These guys are time travelers?
Not exactly.
The doctor replied, his tone grim.
I think they're being manipulated, used as pawns in a much larger game.
Rose gasped suddenly, drawing their attention to a device she'd uncovered.
Doctor, look at this.
She held up what appeared to be a holographic projector. With a flick of his sonic screwdriver, the doctor activated the device. A flickering image sprang to life before them, revealing a figure shrouded in shadow. The voice that emanated from the projector was distorted, but the message was clear.
If you're seeing this, then Phase 1 is complete. The temporal nexus is forming as planned. Once the vault's contents are secured, proceed with Phase 2. Remember, we're not just changing history, we're rewriting it.
The message cut off abruptly, leaving the trio in stunned silence. The doctor's face was a mask of concern.
This is worse than I thought. Whoever's behind this isn't just trying to steal from the vault. They're attempting to alter the very fabric of time itself.
McClane, his cop instincts kicking in, pressed for more information.
Doc, you seem to recognize something in that message. Care to share with the class?
The doctor hesitated, then nodded.
The technology, the methods, it all points to the involvement of the Time Agency.
Time Agency?
Rose echoed, confusion evident in her voice.
A governmental organization responsible for time travel and temporal regulation.
The doctor explained.
Their agents are trained to handle time-related crises, but they're not above using their powers for personal gain.
McClane snorted.
Great. So we're dealing with corrupt time cops now?
The doctor's expression darkened.
Worse. I think we're up against a rogue time agent. Someone with the knowledge and technology to cause untold damage to the timeline.
Rose's eyes widened as she pieced together the implications.
Doctor, if they succeed, what would happen?
Temporal collapse.
The doctor replied grimly.
Entire civilizations could be erased from existence. History as we know it could unravel.
McClane, despite the gravity of the situation, couldn't help but chuckle.
And here I thought I was just gonna have a quiet Christmas party.
The doctor managed a small smile at McClane's gallows humor.
Well, John, I'm afraid your holiday plans have been thoroughly derailed. We're not just trying to stop a heist anymore. We're racing against time to prevent a catastrophe that could rewrite history itself.
Rose, ever the voice of determination, squared her shoulders.
So, what's the plan then? How do we stop this?
The doctor's eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and trepidation.
We need to shut down their operation before they can complete Phase 2. That means disabling their temporal technology and securing whatever's in that vault.
McClane nodded, checking his weapon.
Sounds like a two-pronged attack. You handle the tech stuff, Doc. Rose and I can deal with Gruber and his goons.
Race against time. The race against time was on, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As Gruber's original plan neared its climax, a new and far more dangerous threat loomed. The temporal rift beneath Nakatomi Plaza was destabilizing, threatening to tear apart the fabric of time itself. McClane led a daring assault on the terrorist stronghold. He weaved through the building's layout, outmaneuvering Gruber's team at every turn. Ducking behind a corner to avoid gunfire, McClane spotted something chilling, a terrorist wielding a futuristic weapon, its energy beam slicing through steel. The doctor worked frantically to close the growing time fissures. His sonic screwdriver whirred as he raced from one temporal anomaly to another. Come on, he muttered, adjusting settings on the fly. Each closed rift sent a shockwave through the building, like aftershocks from an earthquake in time. Rose coordinated between McClane and the doctor, her voice crackling over a commandeered radio.
John, hostiles coming from the east stairwell. Doctor, another rift on the 25th floor.
Her hands shook as she spoke, the weight of their mission pressing down on her. She was the linchpin holding their efforts together, her quick thinking proving crucial. An unexpected twist occurred as some of Gruber's men turned on their leader. A burly man approached McClane, hands raised.
This is madness.
He said, fear in his eyes.
We signed up for a heist, not the end of the world. How can we help?
The mastermind behind it all made their move. A strange device materialized in the vault's center, its pulsing energy distorting the air. What followed was a spectacular showdown across multiple timelines. McClane dove through a rift, emerging in the past, then leaped through another into a future Nakatomi Plaza. The doctor's voice echoed across time.
Don't touch your past or future self, John. The paradox could collapse everything.
Gruber fought with increasing desperation, his plans unraveling before his eyes. The realization that he was a pawn in a larger game fueled his fury. In a heart-stopping moment, McClane faced the rogue time agent. Recognition flashed in the agent's eyes, followed by fear.
You!
They gasped.
It was you all along, the linchpin, the wildcard. How could I have been so blind?
With a roar of defiance, McClane launched himself at the agent, their struggle mirroring the battle for time raging around them. As they grappled, the doctor's voice rang out.
Now, John, the device, destroy it.
Yippee-ki-yay, Time Lord. As McClane's fist connects with the device, a blinding flash engulfs Nakatomi Plaza. The light fades, revealing the final showdown atop the tower. Time itself hangs in the balance as the time agent has fallen into a time vortex. Suddenly, John hears someone walk into the vault. McClane faces off against Hans Gruber. Gruber's composure slips. He holds Holly at gunpoint, eyes darting between McClane and the strange temporal distortions flickering across the skyline.
What have you done, McClane?
He snarls. Nearby, the doctor confronts the rogue time agent who stumbles through a vortex.
You can't comprehend the consequences of your actions.
The doctor warns. The time agent activates a wrist device.
I'm rewriting history, Doctor.
Rose's voice crackles over the radio.
Doctor, McClane, hurry! These rifts are getting bigger.
McClane's mind flashes to the moment he first arrived at Nakatomi Plaza. He'd come for a reunion, not a fight. Now, the fate of time itself rests on his shoulders. He shakes off the memory, focusing on the present.
Hey, Doc!
McClane shouts.
That thing on their wrist, can you shut it down?
The doctor's eyes light up.
John, I need a distraction.
McClane leaps into action, tackling Gruber. They tumble dangerously close to an unfinished window. The doctor aims his sonic screwdriver at the time agent's device. A high-pitched whine fills the air as it short-circuits. The time agent howls in frustration. The doctor seizes the moment, using the TARDIS to create a temporal shield around the building. The air shimmers.
It's working.
The doctor shouts.
The temporal nexus is collapsing.
Gruber, caught between times, makes his final move. He lunges for a futuristic gun, his body flickering. McClane reacts instantly, tackling Gruber. They go over the edge. Time slows. The doctor extends the TARDIS's temporal field. McClane and Gruber freeze midair, suspended between moments. With a grunt, McClane pushes away from Gruber, propelling himself back to the roof. As he lands, the temporal field collapses. Gruber plummets, his scream fading into the night. The team's efforts pay off. Temporal rifts seal shut. Hostages are safe. But what of the rogue time agent? Gone without a trace. McClane sees his wife Holly and runs to meet her, pulling her close, his bare feet leaving bloody prints on the roof. The doctor approaches, relief and concern mixing on his face.
We've stabilized the timeline, but there may be unexpected consequences.
A low rumble interrupts. The Los Angeles skyline begins to shift, buildings flickering between past, present, and future versions. Rose joins them, eyes wide.
Doctor, what's happening?
The timelines are realigning.
The doctor explains.
We've prevented a catastrophe, but history has been nudged. The ripples of our actions will be felt across time and space.
McClane shakes his head in disbelief.
I thought I'd seen it all. Terrorists, thieves, bombs. But time travel? That's a new one.
The doctor grins, clapping McClane's shoulder.
John McClane, defender of Nakatomi Plaza and now savior of time itself. Not bad for a day's work, eh?
As the city continues its temporal dance, the group reflects on their incredible adventure, wondering what changes their actions might bring to the world they know. As the dust settles on Nakatomi Plaza, the echoes of an impossible night linger in the air. John McClane stands at the edge of the roof, his gaze sweeping over the Los Angeles skyline. The city looks different now, not just because of the physical changes, but because McClane's perspective has shifted. He's no longer just a cop protecting a building. He's become a guardian of time itself. The doctor approaches, his sonic screwdriver humming softly as he scans the area one last time.
Time is not a straight line,
he muses, echoing words he said countless times before.
It's all time. Every time you look at it, it's different.
McClane nods, understanding the weight of those words in a way he never could have before tonight. As the TARDIS dematerializes, leaving only the faintest whisper of hope behind, McClane reflects on the nature of heroism across timelines. He realizes that the choices made in a single moment can ripple through history, shaping the very fabric of reality. The adventure may be over, but the possibilities it's unlocked are endless, leaving viewers to ponder the incredible potential of crossed timelines and unexpected alliances.
Thank you for watching, and comment below if you have ideas for a crazy adventure. Make sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time.